Alright, so we're gonna continue on here. We've got the base set up for another pass of flakes here. So me personally, I like to get the edges done, get the base into where I like, and that really helps me figure out where I want my notches to go. I know there's plenty of people out there that will kind of, I guess you could say, start with their notches and then finish the piece around it, and that works, but I have a really hard time visualizing where my notches need to go when I do that. So this is the way I found it works for me. Whether or not it's authentic to how points were generally made, I can't really speak to that. I don't assume they were using copper to do these points. From what I can tell by the originals, they appear to be antler flaking. So that's already strike one for me here. So I figure this is more just for the art of being able to make this. And so I'm not sure if I do it good or bad, but this is how I do it. I just ran a flake parallel to that little seam that we had in the base there. It split up and around it, and it feathered out really nicely. Quite pleased with that, actually. Alright, so inspired by Steve's point, which has a wickedly deep base and very foxy ears to it. It's a sweet point. I'm gonna kind of try and emanate that same look. Now, don't know if it'll show or not, but we've got, let's see, a bit of a crack right there, that dark spot. My flake just ran up with it, cleaned it up pretty nicely. So I'm pretty pleased with that. A little quick cleanup on the edge here. This chalky stuff really has been unpleasant to work around. But generally speaking, when you work pretty rock, it's gonna come with some drawbacks. Okay, we're getting about there. I think Steve's base comes up a little higher. Not much though. We're pretty close. Let's run another pass. Sharpen the tip of this flaker up real good. Isn't that just music to your ears? I'm sure you listeners love that. Shout out to all the AirPod listeners out there that just lost their ability to hear for the next 5 minutes. Sorry about that. It's worth it, right? Isn't this such a peaceful sound? Click, 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 click. I love it. I got one corner that's got chalk in it, and I got the other corner that's got that weird yellow inclusion in it. That's become a bit of a fun challenge to work around here. Just trying to keep everything tidy. Okay, we're really starting to get somewhere here, I think. Keywords. Now, I'm gonna really take a close look at symmetry. I can tell just a little bit off. I think I'm actually going to switch over to another tool real quick. This is a welding rod. It's able to have the sharpest point that I can work with for the most part. So I'm just very gently cleaning up these edges because, like I've mentioned, I really don't want thick edges. Thick edges don't cut well. That's the entire point of this art form, is to make a stone cutting tool, right? Something sharp out of a rock. So if I can't do that, I'm not really doing my job very well here. So just really fine adjustments here. Really don't want to dull that edge. Okay, that's pretty close. Now, like I mentioned earlier, some people like to start with their notches and do their whole point, whatever. Well, I don't do all of the finish work on a point. I can't guarantee my notches are going to come out, and I really don't want to spend the next 20 minutes making that the perfect preform just to have a notch stall. So, I think I'm to the point where I'm going to try and get some notches done. You gotta stay hydrated, especially when you're in here. I feel like all the rock dust really dries you out, so keep some liquids in you. Let's see. Do I have a pencil? Pencil. There we go. Pencil is important. I'm bumping everything off my lap here. Okay. I'm gonna pencil in what I think a notch should look like. Yeah, this preform's still not symmetrical. It might make it a little tough to see what I need to do. I think I'm gonna do just a little more cleanup. I don't want to make a bad point for you guys on camera. I just don't want to talk your guys' ear off either while I try and make a perfect one. especially on your basal ears, you really want it to be pretty close to what you want so that you can get a good feel. Alright, I'm gonna draw my notch in. I'm just gonna try and do it right. A lot of pressure. You're on camera. I think that looks about good. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and do one at a time. Sometimes I'll do both at the same time. But this rock's really kind of squirrely. Maybe that's a good reason to try and do them both at the same time. Maybe I should show that technique instead. What I try and do here is I really try and do my harder side first. I don't like getting a good side in there all the way and then coming over the side with a crack in the chalk and having it stall out. It's not fun. So try and get these drawn in here as evenly as I can. Alright, I think this will clean up. So we're going to walk these in a little ways and then we're just going to kind of try and finish them evenly. So to start a notch like this, I just take a little bite out of the edge, flip it, and then I run a flake into the piece like it's a platform. That is typically going to remove most of your line. If the line was imaginary to begin with, you can fudge it as you go. Now I'm not going to try and do the most narrow, perfect notch ever. That's because this Mookaite is not really that type of rock. Just gonna try and get something respectable up in there, and then I can tweak it as I go. Wow, it ran through that crack. I was really expecting to fight that. I just hope this works out. It'd be neat to get to show you guys what it looks like start to finish. I don't think I've ever done a whole point on camera, so if I can figure out how to post this video series, I think it'll be neat to get to share with you guys. Okay, so I'm just walking this notch in. That's about into where I'm going to start turning this notch upwards. So I'm going to switch over to my other side, try and get it to match as close as I can, and then we'll start working them in. Yep, those look about like they're even. Just gonna follow that notch in. So the process for this is flake, scrunch, flip, repeat. Flake, scrunch, flip, repeat. Flake, scrunch, flip, repeat. That is until your notcher becomes wider than your notch channel. And then you have to change tactics a little bit. Flake, scrunch, flip, repeat. All right, so we've got a couple notches starting to walk in there. Now we're going to try and get them to turn up towards the tip. So this process is a little different. I'm going to try and get myself set up well here so I don't biff this. This is not my preferred technique. I'll be the first to say it. I'm really not great at this, and so I'm hoping it works out, but I don't always do it well. So we're gonna have to see. Significantly easier with obsidian. Oh no. Just tried to crunch on me. We'll see if I can salvage it or not. Ooh, that was as close to disaster as I would like to get on this point. Everything else has worked out to this point. I really don't want this to go awry. Ooh. Alright, I'm buzzing. That was a little nerve-wracking. Let's see, what am I trying to go for with this flake here? Where did that just come from? Okay, this is not the ideal platform for this, unfortunately. Really not ideal. Let's see, can I fit? Will it do it? Okay, let's try that. Wow. Alright, so the neat thing about this overhand flaking technique is it works almost like punch flaking, and you will just take these gigantic rounded out flakes. And they're pretty. They work well. Okay, let's see, what do I have for a little cleanup tool? Perfect. Size 12, Capewell draft nail. Farrier here, in case you guys were wondering. That's why I got all the nails. So, if that answers any of your questions, no, I don't do this full time. This is simply just my hobby. It's a hobby that I spend a lot of time doing, but just my hobby. When you're sharpening these, it's important you go ahead and stab your leg while you're doing it. If you don't, you're doing it wrong. It's just a quick little heads up for all you guys out there wondering. So right now, I'm attempting to come in and clean my notches up. The notching process has a tendency to make these little knobs inside of your notch, these little burrs. Burrs would be a better descriptor for that, but either way, you have these little jagged edges that like to jut out into your notch and make it less uniform, which is the opposite of what I'm going for. This other side needs another flake. Alright, so I've achieved that distinctive little curl to the notch there. So now we're going to come in, do some cleanup around the notch. Clean our basil ears up. I'm going to do our last little bit of finish to the tip and to the edges. I promise I will update you guys. I know you're like, hey, you haven't shown us those notches yet. Let's see the notches. I will. Give me just a sec. Got thick from all the notching, So I had to clean that up. It's still thick. My notcher kind of tapers, so as it gets sharpened or even dulled, that tip draws back to the thicker part of the body of it. Okay, the notches. See them? See how they walked in there? Okay, so they look uneven slightly. I'm going to do my edge work, and the ultimate goal for that is to have them look less uneven. So let's take that flake I just sharpened. Let's go through and clean our edges up a little bit. As I'm doing this, especially for the look of this particular point that I'm going for, I'm trying to run my flakes in a bit. Like, you can scrunch your edges to get a more uniform edge, but once again you get that kind of thicker, dull edge that I really don't desire for this piece. And to eliminate that, you press your flakes in so that they run away from the edge and thin it down. So I could actually do a whole nother pass of pressure on this point if I wanted, even while it's notched. But I think I'm gonna get away with just simply doing some little cleanup. I still have just the faintest little bit of that blue-green-yellow line, which is really neat. Really enjoy that. Okay, it's trimming down pretty well. The cleanup stage on a point can take me forever, so trying to make this reasonable while also trying to make a pretty point. Sounds like the cop's siren's broken or something. It was doing some weird sounds. You guys get live commentary and flint knapping advice all in the same video? Wow. Can you see when I'm doing all this? Let's see. Yeah, you probably could have, but let's get that out of the way just in case. Any of you that know me know I like to put a pretty sharp tip on my pieces whenever I can. Well, that was unfortunate. I guess my camera had shut off. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but we're just about done with this point now. Sorry about that, you guys. And we're just gonna do our last couple finishing flakes here. Alright, well, that's a finished point. I'm sorry that things didn't work well there. But, anyways, let's see. Yeah, it needs a couple more flakes. I'm sure you guys can see that too. Okay, well, I'll be the first to admit it's not the most symmetrical point I've ever made, but it's a pretty good one for the video there. See that little bit of green in the tip, green and blue. Anyways, that's Crump Lake northern side notch out of purple Mookaite, and thank you guys for watching.